Hello everyone, welcome back to Basic Seminar 7. For this week, we are going to talk about how to write short academic essays. And for the session next week, we're going to discuss about how to write longer academic papers and reports. So for the purpose of demonstration and making things easier for you guys to understand, we make a distinction between short academic essays and longer academic papers or reports. So for this week, we're going to talk about how to write academic essays, which is short and is less than 5,000 words. Normally, for this type of academic essays, what we do is to summarize some existing knowledge and information pertaining to a specific topic, such as the topics that we've been learning from a specific lecture in a course. So this type of academic essays is commonly assigned as course homework or term papers by specific professors in some courses and lectures. Through this way, the instructors of the courses can assess your understanding and grasp of the materials and contents covered in the lectures. Normally, for the homework of academic essays, the instructors are not asking you to do some kind of original or groundbreaking research. What the instructors want you to do is to summarize the existing literature. In other words, you do a short literature review of the available and existing information in the literature. So for the other type of academic research reports, it is normally longer, which is more than 5,000 words. And if you're writing a graduation thesis for a bachelor's degree, then it's normally around 10,000 words and above. And in this case, you're going to write about your original research, and your paper has to be broken down into various very clear structures, from the introduction, background, to data collection, to empirical analysis, conclusions, and so on. So to summarize, if you're writing academic essays, you are demonstrating your understanding of some topics. You are not trying to create new information to the literature. But if you're writing academic research reports or papers, you are doing original research and you are trying to contribute to the field in your own way. So at the SPSC and EDP program, I have observed three general types of academic essays as homework for courses here. So the first type, I call it response or reflection essays. So for this type of essay, the professor asks you to do a reading on a specific book chapter or journal article. And then you are required to write a summary and critique of the thing you've been reading. And you have to submit it to Moodle. In order to clearly summarize the reading you've been doing, you have to clarify the research question, the methodology, the data, as well as the major findings and conclusions of the research. And to be reflective of the reading you've been doing, you not only have to discuss about its contribution to the literature, you also have to focus on some possible limitations or critiques of the reading. To talk about the limitations of the reading, you might want to compare it with similar or contrasting work in the current literature. And also, you might want to think about whether this research in the past is still applicable to today's environment and today's era. And also, if the research is conducted in the West, you can think about whether it is applicable or generalizable to other areas in the world. So the second type of academic essays that I've observed at EDP, I call it lecture or seminar reaction essays. So there are two types of this essay. One type is that the professor asks you to submit one reaction paper at the end of the course he or she has been teaching, so that he or she can improve the same course next year or next semester. And the other type is that the professor asks you to write a few sentences at the end of each class during 15 weeks, so that your submissions could be served as attendance to those classes. Sometimes you are allowed to ask questions, raise certain ideas, or express your confusion regarding some of the course contents, and some professors will address your concerns during next class time. So the third type of academic essays is to answer to a particular list of questions provided by the instructor. So sometimes it is an essay question, and sometimes it can be a take-home exam at the end of the course. If you are taking statistics, mathematics, or financial mathematics, and so on, maybe there are a lot of formulas, equations involved, and sometimes you have to read a specific case study and then provide your own understandings, interpretations to the case study. So this is relatively easy because the professor already specifies the instructions and the requirements for answering those questions. So the only thing that you have to do is to follow their instructions and provide answers within a specified duration of time. So after talking about the three general types of academic essays, I will be discussing about some of the tips you might think about when you have assignment from the professor for you to write an academic essay. So you should carefully read the instructor's assignment instructions, search for resources, for references, and citations. And importantly, you should read the material that are provided by the instructor. You should outline the essay structure and divide your essays into important sections. And also, you should avoid plagiarism and provide a full list of references at the end of the paper if you are using the APA reference style. And I've listed some of the softwares. You might find it easy to use to export and prepare your references. To make your essays more visually appealing and for the readers to more easily understand your logics, you might use some of the diagrams, graphs, charts, and tables. So in the actual writing process, you should always keep the word count or the length requirement in mind. And also you should keep the deadline for submission in mind. You shouldn't always be thinking about making it perfect. You should think about keeping the deadline in mind first. And also, you can have different drafts, like draft 1, 2, and 3, and label them in your desktop so that you know what the changes have happened to your actual writing process. And if the instructor of the course doesn't really specify one citation style, a safe way is to use APA. So before you submit your essay to the course system, you should always check the deadline, the length of the essay, and also plagiarism. You should have a complete and consistent list of references, and you should check whether you use the proper footnotes in your essay. And also, if you want to check if you made some obvious grammar mistakes, you can use Grammarly to run through it online to correct some of the most obvious grammar mistakes. And sometimes the instructor of the course asks you to use a specific file format, for example, Word or PDF. You should follow that instruction. And also, if the instructor asks you to name your file by a specific name, such as your student ID number, you should include those information in your file name. And lastly, when you submit your essay, You should check whether the professor asks you to upload it to the course management system or to email it to the TA or the professor him or herself. And here is a list of some general formalities or courtesy you can take care of. For example, writing your registered full name and your student ID number at the top of your essay or at the cover page, detailing the course name and your personal information. And also you might want to add some page numbers so that it makes it easier for the professor or the TA to read your essay. And also, you can add a table of contents if the essay is relatively long. And you may want to use section 1, 1.1, and 1.2, and so on, to make the layout or structure of your essay more clear. And you can use figure 1, 2, and 3, and so on, if you include some tables or charts. And if you have some extra information, you can put them into the appendices. You can name them as Appendix A, B, C, and so on. So now, I would like to show you a few examples from my undergraduate homework years before. So this one was an essay that I wrote for the course titled Public Finance. As you can see, I included footnotes, as well as different charts and tables. And this one was an essay that I wrote for the course titled Labor Economics 2. I included the names of different sections and numbers and charts. This one is what I wrote for the course titled Asian Economy B. I highlighted the keywords in blue and added different sections. This one is another one that I wrote for Labor Economics 2. I included the URLs for the news articles or the research papers that I found online. This one I wrote for the course titled Economics of Human Resource Management. So I provided answers to a list of questions. And I included some charts to show my logical flow. And this one was another one that I wrote for public finance. And I wrote conclusion and implications for the topic at the end of the paper. This one is what I wrote for the course titled Entrepreneurial Finance, and I added page numbers and different sections as answers to the list of questions that the professors provided. As you can see, I use the equations and formulas studied in class to answer the questions and address the case studies.